Hello everyone, welcome to Moto Mengy. I recently went to a Harley Davidson demo ride tour out at Appalachian Harley Davidson in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, where I got to ride a whole bunch of different Harley Davidsons, one of which being the subject of today's video, the 2023 Harley Davidson Lowrider ST. That's the version of the Lowrider with the mini fairing on the front and the mid controls. I didn't know what to expect riding this bike. I came away with some mixed feelings about it, both good and bad. This isn't going to be a review of the Lowrider ST, but more of a rider's impressions, you know. I'm going to take it for a ride on the demo loop and see how it feels and see how it rides, and I'm not really concerned about the specs or the engine size or any of that kind of stuff, really. It's more of a rider's review, so let's get into it. Time for the 2023 Lowrider ST with this little fairing on the front. This little fairing on the front of this thing.
It's nice if you like mid controls.
Oh, they are mid, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you prefer that?
My Sportster had mid controls, but it's been a while. No, I actually prefer the floorboards personally. This is me. This has the air cleaner on the side, is in the way. Alright. Oh, wow! These big controls put your knees way up. So this is the 2023 Lowrider ST. It's very different than anything I've ridden before. This little display thing here is very minor and hard to see and read, but, you know, who cares? These mid controls are funky. Put your knees way up high. Although I do like the seating position of this bike. My hands are up high, my butt's down low, and my feet are in the mid. It's got mid controls. Oh, it's just pretty nice though. You know, it's weird. The mid controls feel funny when you're first get on the bike, but when you're riding, it's kind of nice actually. It actually feels pretty comfortable. Now on some of these bikes, this air cleaner on the side gets in the way. But here on the Lowrider ST, I don't think it does, because the mid controls, your legs are kind of up and out of the way of it. Your knees are back behind the air cleaner, so it's not so bad, I don't think. Now, this is a 114, it's not a 117, so it's not going to be overly aggressive. But it's also a light bike, so that 114 pushed out some good power for the size of the bike it is. Now, the second Harley I ever owned was a 1993 Dyna Lowrider. So this is the Lowrider ST. It's essentially the modern version of my old Lowrider. But my Lowrider sat very different than this. This feels like my butt's down lower and my knees are up higher. And this has a fairing on the front. It's a mini fairing. It's smaller than the Road Glide. It's fixed fairing to the frame, so it's not a batwing. But I gotta admit, this bike feels pretty good. Like, I really kind of like the way this thing rides. I'm not getting a lot of wind on me. I mean, you can feel the breeze, there's a little bit of wind, but it's not bad. These big controls surprised me. I thought I wouldn't like it. When I first got on this bike, I didn't like the way it sat with the big controls. But now that I'm riding, it's actually kind of nice. Now, I don't think it'd be good for long distance riding. I think on this bike, most of your weight is sitting on your butt. So, for long rides, this bike might be tiresome. But the seat's not bad, so maybe not. The seat feels pretty nice, actually. Oh, it pulls nice. Now my Dyna Lowrider, my 93 Dyna Lowrider, fast bike. I don't know what it was. My lowrider was an FXR lowrider. And I know a lot of Harley enthusiasts love the FXR frames. They actually seek them out even to this day. Because the FXR frames really were good sporty Harley Davidsons. They were fast, they were lightweight. And even to this day, people love the FXR frame. So, but I'm not sure how like this new frame compares to that. This is obviously a more modern frame. It probably handles better, rides better. Certainly the engine's bigger. My dyno lowrider had an Evolution motor in it. I think they were 80 cc's back then, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but I think so. This is a 114, so obviously a much bigger engine. But the bike's heavier too, so that might actually, you know, offset that a little bit. I don't know. Now see, this seat supports your butt more than that nicer special seat did, so when I get on it, my butt feels braced and secure, but the nicer special pulled harder than this, I would say. It felt more powerful and more sporty and faster, so I'd rather have this seat on the nicer special. This sits much different than the nicer special does. This is a much more relaxed, almost cruising kind of stance, sort of. I mean, yeah, the mid controls kind of offset that maybe, but it's surprisingly comfortable for the mid controls. I don't like this though. I would like a bigger, like a dial or a gauge or something a little more easy to read. This feels kind of chintzy and small. I don't like it. But also that compactness of it is also, I guess, a positive too. It's less noticeable, it's more streamlined looking, I guess. I would prefer though easier to read, I guess, over a streamline. I don't know, they were just old-fashioned. Now, if I wanted a sporty Harley Davidson, would I get this or like a nicer special? Well, if I solely wanted performance and speed and the car some curves, I'd probably pick the Nicer over this. But this is fun. This is a nice bike. And I don't know, actually this handles pretty good in the curves too. The controls are kind of comfortable. I have no idea what this bike costs. If I had to guess, it's probably around $21,000. I'll put the price up on the screen so you can see. Now, this bike sounds better than the Nicer did. It sounds more Harley-esque. Well, that's because it's a Milwaukee 8. You know, it's a more classic beach wind type motor. Yeah, this bike actually turns into the curves pretty nicely. It's definitely not as fast as the Nicer though, wow. It does not pull like the Nicer does. I mean, it's a quick bike, it's not slow. I'm not going to say it's a slow bike, but not as fast as my Goldwing, not as fast as the Nicer, not as fast as the Pan America. But it feels good in the curves. It's a very comfortable bike to ride. So I'd probably say this is more comfortable than the Nicer. It definitely growls more than the Nicer does, that's for sure. Yeah, actually this bike feels pretty good on the curves. not sure about the handlebar position. It's nice that at first it's high up and kind of back against you, so you kind of sit upright, but after riding it for a couple miles now, the palm of my hand is a little annoyed. I wouldn't say it hurts. It's not a pain, but it doesn't feel natural either. So I'm not sure I like these bars that much. I wouldn't say they're terrible though, but I would have to ride it for more than like ride it for a couple hours to see how it feels long term. The seat's nice. Surprisingly, I like the mid-controls. They feel awkward and kind of weird when knees so high up, but I gotta admit, it's pretty comfortable. And it really feels good in the curves. Not as sporty as the Nightster, but from a sporty cruiser kind of point of view, certainly a lot more sporty than the Heritage Softail, that's for sure. Like, this would be fun to take on some back roads and just carve up some twisties. I don't know, I kind of like this bike. I'm not a fan of this little fairies look so much. I mean, it's not bad looking, but I far prefer the Road Glide fairing. I even prefer the look of the Batwing over this, but for a small fairing, it's not bad. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess. It's not my style that I prefer, I guess. But it works well. I mean, the wind management behind the seat here is really nice. Harley Davidson, there just is. Something emotional, something spiritual, I guess. Yeah, I'm actually liking this bike more than I thought I would. It's strange, for the big controls, when I'm at a stop sign, I put my feet down. When I go to roll out and put my feet back on the pegs, it feels awkward at first, every time. But once I'm got my feet placed, my knees up in the air, and I'm rolling, then it feels nice. Then it feels good. And right about here is about where my Hero 8 battery on my GoPro died. So I lost the last 2 minutes or so riding back to the dealership, doing my outro. So I'll do my outro here like this. So what were my overall feelings about the 2023 Lowrider ST? Well, I liked it and didn't like it. It rode nice. It actually handled pretty well. It felt like a nice, light, sporty kind of Harley. The small fairing, I still don't care for the looks of that small fairing so much. But it did a decent job blocking the wind. Although, it did still get quite a bit of wind. And going over my GoPro footage for this video, I noticed how much wind noise the microphone got, which, you know, I get much less wind noise on bikes like the Pan America. I even got less wind noise on like the nicer Special. So I don't know if the small fairing of the Lowrider ST is throwing wind in the face or what, or right at the microphone, right at my helmet. I'm not sure. The mid controls, when I'm come to a stop, when I start pulling out, I think they feel terrible. Feels like my knees are high. It feels awkward. But once the bike's moving and I'm riding, it feels okay, surprisingly. And once you're in the curves, the mid controls also feel pretty nice, surprisingly. I still prefer platforms or forward controls, I guess, on this bike, but I understand why they have the mid controls. It's for a greater lean angle on the bike because the pegs are higher up. So that's why they do it. But that's part of my problem with the Lowrider ST is that it kind of rides like a cruising bike, but it also wants to be a sporty bike. It's kind of like a mix of both worlds, but not great of either one. So it's like it's hard to peg this bike exactly. It's not a cruiser per se, it's not a sport riding bike per se, but it's a mixture of both. So maybe that's what Harley's going for here. Maybe that's their market that they're trying to attack here. I'm not sure. I guess if you wanted a sporty cruiser, this bike could be the bike for you then. But you're not gonna get the best of sportiness or the best of cruising, you know, comfort or feeling either. You're gonna get a little bit of both, but not a lot of either. So in that regard, the Lowrider ST kind of has a weird place in the Harley lineup. I will say, comparing it to my 93 FXR Lowrider, that bike felt very sporty. My knees were not high like they are on the ST, but it was kind of like mid controls, but my feet were back further, so it wasn't as mid as the Lowrider ST is. The feet were back a little bit more. The bar placement on my FXR Lowrider felt better than the Lowrider ST that I just rode here. The bars were in a nice, okay spot, but the angle of the grips were odd. After about 10 minutes of it, my palms were starting to hurt a bit on the inside. And I'm not sure why, but it was something to do with the angle of the grips. They just felt very, they were almost like high straight bars in a way. That's kind of what they felt like. And I wish if they had just been like turned a bit more, it might have been more comfortable for me. It could be just what I'm used to, but in my opinion, the Nicer Special was more comfortable to ride than the Lowrider ST. And the Nicer Special is definitely a sporty bike. It's the new Sportster, whatever. Now for longer rides, the Lowrider ST is probably more comfortable than the Nicer Special. But not much, you know, I mean, yeah, the Lowrider ST has a weird place in the lineup. It's just an odd bike. It's hard to peg. It's kind of hard for me to like too. I liked it a little bit, but not enough to ever want it or buy it. But I guess if you want a mixture of cruiser and sporty, then this might be the bike for you. So that's my opinion on the 2023 Lowrider ST. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below in the comment section. And on that note, thanks for watching, thanks for riding along. Ride safe. See you next time.